Hey everyone, and welcome to this special edition of BBYO Live. We're joined by Jewish teens from around the world to discuss the current political climate in Israel. If you'd like to send us questions to ask our panelists or answer some of our questions for yourself, please tweet them to @BBGMazkira and @GrandMazkir and join the conversation on social media using the hashtag #TeenForIsrael and join the global conversation. I'm Ronnie Rose, and I'm the 70th International Maskira, and I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina in the United States. And we're just going to go down the line and introduce ourselves.
Hi guys, my name is Jake Niskin. I'm from Michigan region BBYO, so Michigan in the United States, and I'm very excited to be on this call. Pizza.
Hi, I'm Pizza. I'm from Serbia, BBYO Balkans, and yeah, I'm from Serbia, BBYO Balkans.
Hi, my name is Trevor. I apologize for the phone call in the background. I'm from Boston and from New England region number 18.
Hello, I'm Jonah Moore. I am from BBYO UK and Ireland, but specifically from London, England. I'm very excited to get talking about Israel and the upcoming election.
Hi, I'm Eliar from Argentina. I'm really happy of being in this conversation.
Bar, go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Bar Cohen from Israel. I'm in Maccabi Tzair from Hadera. So I'm really excited. This is my first chat, so it'll be really fun.
Welcome, Bar.
Great. So, as many of you know, this Tuesday, Israel will participate in electing the 20th parliamentary body, or the Knesset. And before we get into the discussion, Trevor will explain how Israel's government is formed. So, take it away, Trevor.
Thank you, Jake. So, long story short, Israel has what we call a coalition government, which means there are multiple parties which sometimes join together, and there are about 120 seats in the Knesset. And when citizens vote, they vote for the party they want, and the seats are divided proportionally to each party. Usually, the leader of the party, which most members then becomes prime minister, and he or she must form a coalition or a cabinet of ministers, made up of 60 members from the Knesset. The coalition is like the executive branch of Israel, I guess. And right now, Bibi Netanyahu is the prime minister that was leading that coalition.
Israel usually holds elections every 4 years, but if they see that the current coalition isn't working out, they can dissolve the Knesset and the coalition and move elections up. So in December, they decided to do that, and while elections were supposed to be in 2017, they were moved up to this Tuesday because a strong coalition couldn't be formed.
So, does anyone know how all of this started and what's going on in the coalition right now? Why did this happen?
Okay, so if I'll say it in short, the coalition, well, Yair Lapid, Tzipi Livni, they what we can call, what we can say rebelled against Bibi Netanyahu, and then because they couldn't work together in the coalition, Bibi Netanyahu, he fired them. He fired both of them, and that what made of the government of the coalition to grow apart, and that's why we have the election.
And they, Tzipi Livni and Yair Lapid, they were the justice minister and the finance minister, and they basically opposed this bill that Bibi Netanyahu really supported, which was the Jewish state bill that would declare Israel as the Jewish state of the Jewish people. So what do you guys think of this bill? It would officially declare Israel as the Jewish state.
Well,
good or?
Yeah, so in my opinion, essentially Israel in many ways already doesn't really have a separation between religion and state. I mean, if you take certain laws, for example, if you're Jewish, you can make Aliyah. Just by proving you're Jewish, you can. For example, myself this summer, I'm making Aliyah simply because I'm Jewish. Someone who's not Jewish, they can't do that. Also, there's laws such as pigs in Israel. This is completely religious. There's no other reason for this to happen. They can't be raised on farms on normal ground. They have to be lifted up above the ground. So the entire life these pigs do that, and that's completely religious. So in many ways, there is no separation between religion and state, and in one way, a bill which introduces that isn't really necessary. But then, more to that than it not necessarily being necessary, forms like the idea and the argument as whether it's fair and right to create a Jewish state in Israel. I know that we have like a distinct majority of the population as Jews, but there's still a minority of other religions. There's a significant amount of Muslims, Jews, Christians, who also, particularly in the capital, hold even disproportionate amount of the population in comparison to the rest of the state.
In the Knesset.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it isn't, if you are going to form a Jewish state and make sure there's no separation between religion and the state, you need to make sure it's undiscriminating against the other religions and the minorities within Israel.
Now, guys, this bill would erase Arabic as an official language of Israel, just Hebrew. What do you guys think of that? Do you think it's discriminatory?
I mean, I think it's not, because like in Arab countries, I mean in every other country where you have like, for how can I say, in Serbia, in part where I live, there's like 40 other ethnic groups of people. So, and the official language is Serbian, but they can go to schools in their language. So they can go to Hungarian school, or they can go to, I don't know, Russian school or something like that. So you have to make it like really work. And on the other side, you will not discriminate everybody. So you give them rights to learn, to educate themselves, to live on their language, and then actually on the paper it says that the Serbian is official and that they can use whenever they like their language.
And to
until
piggyback off of Peta's point, America's the same way. Our only official language is English, but there are many cities that operate solely on different languages, and we also offer to teach different languages in schools too.
Yeah.
So if Israel was to make Hebrew their only official language, that doesn't mean that they wouldn't teach Arabic in their schools, that they wouldn't operate in different villages with Arabic. So I don't think it's discriminatory as well. What do you guys think?
I mean, that's what I said.
I would like to go back to what Dora said. Although nowadays Israel, without the bill, is a Jewish state and it has a lot of Jewish things, I believe it's necessary to pass this bill, because nowadays you can be sure that for some years, like for the next years, and I think the long we'll see Israel is going to be a Jewish state without the bill. But if one day we get to have a government, a non-Jewish government, we can lose the state of Jewish state, and the bill would protects the state of Israel of still being a Jewish state with any government on it.
There's actually, I read an article with something about that. Yossi, can you pull up that quote that I sent you? Because that was BB's point with this at all. In all, he said we don't need it. We've survived about 70 years without it, but it needs to protect us for the future. We need to make sure that we are always a Jewish state. We need to make sure that nobody can ever come in and take away the Judaism from our country. My mom grew up in Israel, and she always says that most people in Israel, most Jews, are secular because Judaism is so forced there by the government, so enforced and forced. And it'd be weird. And I asked her, why are they doing that? They're making people not care as much about being Jewish. And she said, well, you can't tell the world, protect us, we're the only Jewish nation, and then not say officially we are the Jewish nation. We close our shops on Shabbat, and we all go to synagogue. So maybe they do need to make it official so that the world realizes that we're here and we're here to stay.
Yeah. Well, I'd say to your point, I don't necessarily think this, but the Muslim population, although a lot smaller than the Jewish population at the moment, is growing a lot more rapidly than the Jewish population. While Hasidim tend to average more Jews than the average Arab family in Israel, Arabs average a lot more children, about 5 to 6, whereas Jewish people average about 3 to 4. Therefore, eventually it's calculated that in not a too distant time, there's going to be more Muslims in Israel than there are, more Arabs, sorry, not Muslims, different things, more Arabs in Israel than there are Jewish people. So, like what you just said, we need to ensure on one hand that the Jewish state is like we have a Jewish state always. However, is it unfair to make it a Jewish state if one day if we are a minority in Israel, is it necessarily the right thing for Israel to be a Jewish state?
Okay. I mean, on one hand, I think that Arabs right now, with the statistics that 65%, I think, or 75% of Arabs in Israel agree that it's better to live and they want to live in the Jewish state of Israel than living in some other Arab state. And in other hand, what Jonah said, if there is like not too many, but if there like if we will be minority, that would be like a really big problem because they can overrun the not overrun, but they can form their coalition and overrun the Knesset, and like the bill is not being protected and everything.
Now we're talking most of us from outside of Israel, but Barak, do you want to tell us maybe like if you and your friends have talked about this, what people think?
Yeah. So I would like first of all to say like what's happening right now. We talked earlier like about Hebrew as the language spoken in Israel, but but right now Israel is treating its minorities like of the Arabs so well. Our education system is we make it for them like different. Like when I as a Jewish kid in Israel, I have to learn Bible and I have to learn like a lot of Jewish stuff. An Arab kid in Arab school will not be forced to learn Bible, but he will learn the Korean and he will learn Arabic. He will learn Hebrew because it is Israel and we speak here Hebrew in the everyday life. But then when he needs when I think of how freedom we give to the Arabs in Israel, we give them a lot. Now about making Israel like a more Jewish country, I don't know if it's possible. But right now we don't have public transportation in Shabbat. We don't have shops. So declaring it as a Jewish country, I don't know exactly what will be all the consequences of that. But right now, we do like everyone are feeling that we live in a Jewish state. So I don't know how much further we can make it more Jewish. But then when you said that most of the people in Israel, most of the Jewish people are secular, I could say that it's much easier, obviously, being Jewish in Israel. Like I don't go to the synagogue every Shabbat, but I think that in Israel, because that the Orthodox movement is so powerful, and they don't really give the Reform and conservative movements love room and space. That's a thing that get a lot of Israelis like myself. I connect to the movement. They don't give us the chance to connect. So that's my opinion about it.
I have a question for Bar.
Yeah.
I was wondering, after going to Israel and traveling and seeing all the, I mean, I think I went during Ramadan, so being able to see all the different cultures present throughout was just, to me, it was fantastic being able to see different religions. And I was wondering if you thought if this bill passed, would you to make it like to declare it, to give it like formal declaration as a Jewish state? Do you think that would cause negative energy or stigma of the other minorities present in Israel?
Right. I think it might would because if we will declare Israel as a Jewish country, maybe the treatment towards these communities will be affected. But Israel would never force its Judaism on anyone. Like, as a Jewish religion, in a the Jewish religion, we don't force anyone, God forbid, to be Jewish. Like if someone wants to be Jewish, he has to be tested. And so we give all of the different religions in Israel a lot of freedom. Like if you hire an Arab to your to work, then you have to give him like free time, like in his holidays, and like not by your holidays, because if he has Ramadan or every other holiday that he has, you're legally obligated to give him, like his holidays off and everything. Yeah, it's really like being in a minority in Israel. I don't think it's really it's I don't think that they feel like they're being forced to something.
Israel prides itself in giving its Arab population more rights than their own country does. That's like one of the things that Israel is most proud of. Now, like when talking about this bill, it's important to talk about why it's being brought up in the first place. And one of the reasons why is because Bibi Netanyahu feels like the Arab Israelis are creating a country within a country. And Arabs can live in Israeli villages, but Israeli Jewish people cannot live in Arab villages. So he feels like this would disband that idea, and everybody would be free to live in the place of their choosing.
I think it's also a response towards the war this summer. Like we all know that Gaza and the rest of and like many Palestinians were winning the media war, and it wasn't so much that like their weapons were hurting us, but the way they gained support around the world did. So now in retaliation to that, we're going towards using the media to say we are a Jewish state, to make that public knowledge and make it official, and that's all retaliation without weapons. Do you guys think that's it, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so now a lot of us have said that whether this bill passes or not, Israel's going to be a Jewish state. The stamps are still going to be certified kosher. It's a fun fact. I learned it on Twitter. Only rabbis can marry Jewish men and women together, and like Bar said, public transportation services and most businesses are shut down on Shabbat. So even if it doesn't pass, we're still going to be a Jewish state. So should we go in the... Yeah?
Not only that, like, take the national anthem. If any of you guys know it well, we say Nefesh Yehudi. Like, in the national anthem, we emphasize that we are Jewish. Like, Nefesh Yehudi is a Jewish soul. And the flag is the Magen David. And the Talit. So, in our symbols is Jewish. Yeah.
It's all Jewish, whether this passes or not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
should we move in the opposite direction? Should we separate religion from state, or should we keep it together?
but the question is,
keep
for
it
how
forcing it.
long will you remain Jewish? Like, now you have a Jewish state, and we all agree that now Israel is a Jewish state. But as Jonah said, in some years, if Arabs get to be more than we are in Israel, and if they get the government power, the Jewish state can stop being a Jewish state because it's just a costume thing, because it's not official. So, as unfair and controversial it may sound, I think although we could be a minority in a Jewish state, being Jewish, like in a Jewish state in Israel have more Arabs, I think it's fair for us to have a state when Arabs have a lot of states. And as controversial as it may sound, if you don't want to live in a Jewish state, you have another state to live. But if you do, and we don't have the Israel state being Jewish, if you want to live in a Jewish state and you don't, you there aren't if Israel stops being a Jewish state. So although we could be a minority, we still deserve a Jewish state, and we still have to get it and maintain it with the bill or in some other way, but we have to make sure we have a Jewish state, and we will still have it.
I think it's important to like decide whether you think Israel is a place for the Jews or it is a Jewish state. By that I mean when Israel was formed, like became the state of Israel and a Jewish country, a lot of it was because of what happened in World War II and the Holocaust, and that I think to some extent the world saw that Jewish people really need a place to go, and now we've got a safe place. Should Israel really be a place where Jews have, wherever they are, if they're ever persecuted, they have a place to go, they have another home and somewhere to go? Or is it more that this is the place in the Bible or in the Torah where we were given, and it's a holy place and we deserve it because it's our birthright as a Jewish people, because God gave us a covenant and promised it to us? So for me, I think it's more, as I see it, more as a safe place for the Jews than as, although I do have a connection with the state, I see it more as a safe place for the Jews than as it should be a Jewish state because it's the state of Israel, and it's important to have that really strong connection between the religion and the country. Do
Okay,
you see what I'm
so
saying?
yeah.
Aaron Dane from DC Council, the DC Council Gadol, brought up a good point through Twitter. And what he said was that keeping Israel a home for everyone will keep it a home for the Jewish people anyway. And passing the Jewish state bill will enforce nationalism and exclude other groups, which is something that goes against our values, both American and Israeli values. The Jewish people have survived for centuries as a diaspora, and we don't need to change that by declaring that one place is only for Jews. So what do you guys think?
Um, about this last part, the Jews. Okay, go.
I think having a Jewish state, although we don't live in it, like only from us bar lives in Israel, having a Jewish state keeps you safe in case anything happens. Like, you have it. You know you can go and they will receive you, and you have it. If you don't, and we have been like what happened, like it happened before, I think we need it, and we need somebody to stand for Jewish values and for Judaism in an international way and throughout to the world, like in the UN and with our states and all that stuff.
Okay. So the last part that the Twitter guy said, it's Jewish people survived in Europe. So I mean, for me, I'm from Europe and I don't want to survive it. I want to live it. If you know what I get, if you know what I'm saying, I don't want to like survive through anti-Semitism and through being discriminated just because I'm Jew. I want to live. I mean, I personally want to live that way. And if I cannot live that way, I have a safe place to go, and it's Israel, where besides all the wars and everything is going, I'm still more safe than in my country.
Well, part of me fears that if we separate religion from the law, and if we don't declare it a Jewish, or if we declare it a Jewish state, that eventually people in Israel will become so comfortable being Jewish, and it'll be so easy to be Jewish that they won't have to work as hard. You know, in history, like, it's been difficult, and because of that, we worked harder to keep it. And I know here, where I don't have that huge Jewish community, I have to work harder to preserve my Judaism. So I'm a little worried that years from now, the people in Israel will be Jewish, but they won't care as much about it. So if something happens and another country comes and attacks Israel, the people won't care as much about preserving their Judaism, and they won't fight for it. Could it be our demise? Could it be what hurts us in the end?
No, when you say preserving, oh, sorry, continue.
That's okay.
No, when you say preserving Judaism, do you mean preserving, like, going to synagogue and observing the holidays, or do you mean preserving, like, our culture and our traditions, the foods we eat, the music we listen to, the traditions that we pass down? Because those are two different things, and I feel like the culture that we have and the food and the music and the traditions that transcend from generation to generation, that'll hold anyway, because that's just a part of Israeli culture now too.
Yeah, but they won't. I feel like they won't fight as hard to keep the religion itself.
Well, what I think was that from, I guess, previous history, when what we've seen is when the Jews have stepped back and not been necessarily proud and vocal in their Jewish identities, is when disaster happens, such as Holocaust, assimilation, etc. And so, like, personally, that's why I think we need the state of Israel, because it's the only place you can be a Jew uninhibited. And I know some people say that history repeats itself, but I personally that history may rhyme. So I think that's kind of personally why I think we need the state of Israel.
History may what? History may rhyme?
Yeah, and wait,
Well,
I
it's like
can say as who lives in Israel. Back in 1948, people came to Israel, made an aliyah because they were Jewish, and probably only because of that, because we didn't have like um, we didn't have relations to Israel as we have now. Um, right now in Israel, I know that a lot of people of the soldiers, like I'm 18 in next September, and after the year of service I'm going to do, I'm going to serve the army. Now I'm secular, I'm not religious, but why am I going to serve in the army? Because I love Israel, I love the culture, I love all the things we accomplished, I love how we developed all of the high technology and everything. I like living here, I like the view, I like all the historical sites. I love speaking Hebrew out loud in the streets and having Jewish education everywhere I go. So there are a lot of different reasons right now for Israelis to love Israel and want to be here and fight for it, other than the religion. Because in our ID, in the place where it says nationality, so some it's like it's Israeli or Yehudi, Jewish. So some people take it as a religion, as their religion. Some people take the Yehudi, the Jewish, as their nationality. So that's another way to look at it.
Yeah, I think that Judaism is too deeply embedded into the core of Israeli culture for it ever to be faded away. Their language is Hebrew. They all go in the army to fight for the Jewish country. Everything about them is very Jewish in essence, and I can't see making this bill. I don't think it's going to fade away, and I don't think this bill would preserve it. I just think, with it or without it, Judaism is something at the core of all Israelis, and that's not going to go away.
Also, think about it with the separation of religion and law. People that live in Israel and aren't Jewish aren't required to serve in the military. So if we were to separate it, then Jews wouldn't be required to either. But because they're Jewish, they have to serve if they grew up in Israel.
But then all the other people are obligated to do what we call national service. Like 3 years, but
They're required to do
non-military
what? Can
service,
you say that again?
but only like community service. National service. We call
Yeah.
it Shirut Leumi, national service. And then they don't serve in the army, they don't go fight, but they do, they are supposed to go and do like community service and stuff. It doesn't mean that they do, most of them don't in fact, but that's what they're supposed to instead.
Anybody want to share their final thoughts? Okay, well, just an update on elections. Right now, the two parties that are in the lead are Likud and the Zionist Union, which is a joint union of labor and Hatnuah. And Likud is for the Jewish state bill, so they're more towards enforcing religion with the law, and Labor and Hatnuah, they're against the bill. So while they want it to stay a Jewish state, they don't want to make the bill official. So this Tuesday is election day. Bob, you can't vote yet because you're not going to be 18 until September, you said.
Right.
Okay, next election. But I guess we will find out soon who wins. So thank you all for joining our call. We hope to talk to you guys more soon about this. And if anybody back home still wants to join in the conversation, just tweet with hashtag Teens for Israel, hashtag join the global conversation, and give us your thoughts.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. And with that, we remain your international Mazkirim.
Thank you. Jesse, you want to go offline now?
No. No.